Imagine this. You are trying to lose weight, but it doesn't go as fast as you would like it to. Or maybe you are still stuck at the same weight and you just can't seem to break through. All of this can be pretty common, right? And usually, if you want to lose more weight, you just need to eat less food. But let's be honest, you probably don't want to cut your food even more. That's why in this video, I will show you how to effortlessly start losing more weight without basically needing to change anything. Yes, you will be changing a little bit, but these tips are so effortless that you could do them even if you were asleep. Trust me, they are that easy to do. You just need to be aware of their existence. Then you will be able to take full advantage of them. One of the most powerful difference makers is NEAT, which stands for Non-Exercise Activity Thermogenesis. You don't need to remember this though. What NEAT really means is those small activities that you do most of the time subconsciously. Like for example when you tap your foot when you are sitting at school or when you fidget with some object. When you go on a diet, you obviously want to be in a calorie deficit. But as a side effect of you eating less food than before, you indirectly make yourself a little lazier. You suddenly don't feel like fidgeting with anything. Instead of walking 5 minutes to the store to grab something, you take an Uber. Instead of getting up from your couch to get the TV remote, you ask someone to bring it to you. And so many other situations that you are not even aware of, just because all of this happens subconsciously. Each one of those activities costs you just a couple of calories, but it adds up really quickly to thousands of calories per month. Let me put it like this. Imagine that all your subconscious laziness costs you 120 calories every day. That is roughly 3600 calories per month. And in order to burn 1 pound of fat, you need to burn 3500 calories. Which means that each month, your decreased NEAT costs you over a pound of fat per month. Which might not sound like a lot, but a pound of pure fat is actually pretty spacious. Because fat is not that dense, so it appears more voluminous than you would expect from just 1 pound of fat. So now that you know how big of a deal NEAT is, what should you do to take full advantage of it and burn more calories almost effortlessly? Well, to answer this question, you have to take a look at what you do every day and see if there are any things that could be done a little differently. For example, if you are working a desk job, you are just sitting all day. So what you could do in this situation is get a standing desk and simply switch between sitting and standing. Not only that this will help you burn more calories, but it's also much healthier than sitting all day. I can tell you from my own experience that I sit around a lot when I create videos or draw pictures and stuff like that. And I would often feel back or leg pain after a long day of sitting. So I decided to get a standing desk. And it has been one of the best decisions I have ever made. I'm actually standing right now as I write the script for this video. So if you have standing desks at work, I would highly recommend you use them. Or if you are working from home like me, getting one of those desks will for sure be worth your money. Small changes like this will over time snowball into something much bigger. That's why it's worth realizing that NEAT is indeed pretty neat. Simply just getting into the mindset of not always doing the easiest option that is presented to you. As I said before with the shop example, that applies to so many more things. Just deciding to walk instead of driving, if the distance is small, will have a much bigger impact on your life than you would expect. Apart from NEAT, there are also other things that you can change almost effortlessly to save some calories. But before we get to that, let me show you my nutrition plans. No matter if you want to bulk up, cut down or just maintain, I got exactly what you need. These nutrition plans are easy to follow step-by-step guides which will allow you to build your own dream diet with the foods that you like. The nutrition plans also come with ebooks that will tell you exactly which carb, protein and fat sources are the best ones, so that you can use the best foods possible. If that sounds good, check the first link in the description. And now back to the video. The next thing that will help you save more calories effortlessly is switching most of your foods to lower calorie variations. A good example of this is dairy. If you get everything in a low-fat variation instead of the normal, or God forbid the full-fat variation, because if you are using full-fat dairy on a diet, something might be wrong with you. Then you will be able to once again save hundreds, if not thousands of calories per month. And of course, that's not just dairy, but also meat that has less fat. Yes, the leaner meat is going to be more expensive, but if you got the budget available, it's definitely worth going with the leaner variation. But you have to be careful about one thing when it comes to the lower calorie dairy products. Because there is a very nasty trick that the food industry doesn't want you to know. They put the 0% fat label on the packaging to make it seem low calorie. But what they don't tell you is that yes, they took out the fat, but then they replaced it with sugar. So you think that you are getting a healthy low-calorie product, but instead you are eating a sugar bomb. The food makers do this to make the food taste better, to entice you to buy it again and again. because it turns out that if you remove most of the fat and sugar, the difference in taste will be very noticeable. So when you see a 0% fat product, always take a look at the nutrition facts. And if it's filled with a metric ton of sugar, stay away from it, because it only tries to look healthy, but it's definitely not. And also don't forget about stuff like condiments, like ketchup or some sauce for example. Always get the lower calorie variation. I would pretty much recommend this even if you are on a bulk, because in ketchup for example, the regular variation just has more sugar, and there is no need for that. Maybe if you are like a mega skeleton and you just can't gain weight, then go for it. But for the rest of the people, it's a very good habit to always go for the lower calorie condiments, because that's exactly the spot where a lot of people consume way more calories than they think. Because nobody is weighing the amount of ketchup they put on a meal, you just eyeball it. And this almost always ends up in you unknowingly consuming way more calories than you would want. But there is one more area where this low calorie swap is really impactful. I'm of course talking about any type of liquid calories. Doesn't matter if it's soda, energy drinks, coffee or tea. You want to make sure that you are not drinking your calories this way. So for soda or energy drinks, always go for the sugar-free versions. And for coffee or tea, just try drinking it without any sugar. And if you really need to have that sugary taste, try exploring stuff like stevia, which will allow you to still enjoy that sugary taste without consuming any unnecessary calories. I can tell you from my own experience that since I started using stevia, I don't even buy sugar anymore because I have basically no use for it. Some of you might get put off by the bitter-ish taste, but I found that when you use it in warm beverages, it's unnoticeable. One time I tried to put stevia into sparkling water, and trust me, it doesn't taste good at all, so I don't recommend trying that. But what I would highly recommend is that you try different brands of sweeteners to see which one you like the most, as each brand tastes a little different. Because at the end of the day, I really do think that getting to the state where you don't even need to buy sugar on a regular basis is a pretty good place to be in. All of the changes I showed you are really super easy to implement. Now it's up to you to do at least the super bare minimum to improve your life and your diet. You know, the world we are living in right now kind of pushes us to always take the path of least resistance. If you get presented with two different options, 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, you will pick the option that is significantly easier. But if you realize this, you can start choosing the path that has at least a little bit of a challenge to it. You will not only burn more calories, but your mental health will improve, because finally achieving at least some small victories is something that your brain will really like. Thank you for watching, please consider subscribing to the channel if you found this video helpful, and I will see you next time. Wow, check this video out, I think it looks pretty good.